Democrat is facing more than 24 charges for alleged misconduct, and the charges include accusations that she stole millions of dollars in FEMA COVID-19 relief funds and funneled the cash into her campaign for Congress in 2021.
America, while hurricane and pandemic victims were sitting in FEMA lines waiting for disaster relief money, a sitting United States Congresswoman was at a Tiffany's picking out a 3-carat diamond ring. She didn't just steal the money and spend it on herself. She used it to buy a seat at Congress, and she won her Democratic primary by exactly 5 votes with stolen FEMA money. And when the Bipartisan Ethics Committee found her guilty on 25 counts this past week, the Democratic minority leader was asked on live camera if she should resign. His answer was 2 words. Next question.
A fiery 6-hour hearing went almost to midnight.
And the allegations before us are extremely serious.
What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Let me show you every receipt, starting with the contract, moving through the shopping cart, and landing on the words that tells you everything you need to know where this Democratic Party stands right now. Sheila McCormick, not to be confused with that fantastic steak seasoning, represents Florida's 20th Congressional District, Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach. Her family's company, Trinity Healthcare Services, received a legitimate FEMA contract during the C-19 pandemic to run vaccine registrations in Florida. Completely above board. Nothing wrong with that. But slight little but here, FEMA made an error. They overpaid Trinity by, get this, by $5 million. And at this point in the story, a normal person calls FEMA and says, hey, FEMA, you sent too much money. Here's your money back, and lives to see another Tuesday. Instead, the ethics committee found that she and her brother moved the money. They moved the money through multiple bank accounts, specifically to, and I'm quoting the committee's findings directly, disguising its source. That phrase, disguising its source, is doing a lot of work. That's not a onesie-twosie mistake. That's not a bookkeeping error. That is a deliberate decision executed through multiple financial institutions, specifically designed to hide stolen government money from the people who are trying to locate it.
The Congresswoman facing accusations she stole $5 million in FEMA COVID funding, mistakenly paid to her family business, then redirected it into her campaign for Congress in 2021.
More than half of it was paid to the Congresswoman and her friends and family, and of that, the vast majority went into her campaign.
More than half of $5 million moved to her personal and inner circle, then into her campaign, where McCormick, she described herself as a self-funded candidate, you guys. Of course she did. I'm self-funded with FEMA money from hurricane and pandemic victims, over $1.1 million specifically, miraculously, like Aladdin on a magic carpet, landed in her congressional campaign account, and she ran on it. Self-funded. I'm black and I'm self-funded. She entered the Democratic primary to replace the late Alicia Hastings, one of the most powerful congressional seats in South Florida. Multiple opponents, competitive race, and McCormick steak seasoning won. And she won by 5 votes. I'm going to let that breathe for a second. 5 votes. The margin between losing and winning a congressional primary, a seat with a 6-figure salary, full federal benefits, and a platform to shape national policy was 5 human beings checking a box with her name on it. And the money that funded that margin was diverted FEMA disaster relief funds.
I have my client on the one side of me saying, that's not true. I want to get up and I want to testify and I want to explain something. I have to advise her not to, because I have to protect her Fifth Amendment rights for the criminal case.
The panel rejecting that particular argument.
She is simultaneously facing an ethics trial and a federal criminal trial. Her lawyer told her that she couldn't defend herself at the ethics proceedings because anything she said would be used against her in the criminal case. And both, mind you, chat, are running at the same time. Now, let me read you what the DOJ, the Department of Justice, separated criminal indictment says that she spent the money on personally. A 3-carat fancy, vivid yellow diamond ring from Tiffany & Co. auto, approximately $109,000, a Tesla, designer clothes, high-end hotels, a cruise. It sounds like the price is right.
Robbie, you've just won a brand new red Peterbilt truck and your very own commercial driver's license. Oh my God! I can't believe it! Woo, this is crazy!
And she inflated fake business expenses and charitable contributions specifically to reduce her tax liability on money that was stolen. She stole from hurricane victims, bought a Tiffany ring, then committed tax fraud to reduce what she owed from the stolen money. That's 3 distinct crimes inside one shopping cart. December 2023, George Santos, Republican, New York, is expelled from the House of Representatives by a vote of 311 to 114. He lied about his background, fabricated his credentials, and ran a campaign finance scheme. The House decided that he was unfit for service. Hakeem Dollar Store Obama Jeffries or Timu Barack voted yes to expel Santos on the record, and then he went on the microphone.
He's a complete and total fraud, lied to the voters in New York, deceived and connived his way into Congress, and it's now the responsibility of House Republicans to do something about it. There are ongoing investigations. This is not a partisan issue. Republicans need to handle. Clean up your house. And you can start with George Santos.
Clean up your house. That's the sentence. I want you guys to remember that because we're about to see what he said when it was his house that was a little messy. Before the ethics verdict, a reporter pressed Dollar Store Obama on whether he expected McCormick to potentially resign.
Sheila is entitled to the presumption of innocence like every other American. She's entitled to her day in court, and she's entitled to a jury of her peers who are going to follow the facts and be guided by the law.
That obviously was before the verdict. The bipartisan panel came back with clear and convincing evidence on a 25-27 count. The presumption of innocence is no longer available, and the answer is that she was guilty. So a reporter asked Jeffries if she would resign now after the findings. His answer was next question. In February, Jeffries told reporters that he was a hard no on expulsion. After the verdict, more than half a dozen Democrats publicly called for her resignation. Jeffrey was not one of them. The double standard here is the visible part, but here's the layer underneath this. And this is the part that explains why the party will never truly fix this. Both the Florida Congresswoman and the largest C-19 fraud in American history shared the exact same DNA. C-19 era emergency programs, minimal oversight, government money flowing fast and furious through contractors with very few checkpoints. McCormick's family company had a C-19 vaccine registration contract. Minnesota's Feeding Our Future, you guys know that name, Minnesota's Feeding Our Future, had a C-19 meal contract. In both cases, the programs were designed to move money quickly to help people in a particular crisis. In both cases, somebody figured out, in Minnesota's situation, it was Somalia pirates, that the oversight was an afterthought.
So how much money are we talking about stolen from the American taxpayer?
I can say with great comfort, well in excess of $1 billion.
In Minnesota, investigators say the defendants, many of Somali descent, turned a federal child nutrition program into their personal bank account and then went on a global spending spree. The court exhibits obtained by CBS News show first-class trips around the world, including a villa with a private pool in the Maldives, lakefront homes in Minnesota, luxury cars, stacks of cash, and wire transfers moving the stolen taxpayer money to China and East Africa.
These were feeding programs for children. The luxury spending from the Florida case, Tiffany diamond rings, Tesla, hotels, and luxury spending from Minnesota are not just similar in kind. They're similar in case. The mechanism was exactly identical. Government money flowing in, nobody checking for nothing. Money flowed out to different zip codes, and nobody could understand where and how it went so fast. Federal prosecutors estimate the Minnesota total could reach up to $9 billion. Timmy Tampon Walsh was governor the entire time. What an absolute disaster. The House Oversight Committee found whistleblowers warned Timmy Tampon's administration repeatedly over and over again. No action was taken. Walz subsequently dropped out of his re-election bid.
This is on my watch. I am accountable for this. And more importantly, I am the one that will fix it. Nobody in the legislature on the Republican side is interested in solving this.
I had to watch this again to make sure I heard what he said. He used the word accountability as a quote unquote speed bump on kind of like a way to blame somebody else. I'm accountable, and nobody on the Republican side wants to fix it. It's kind of in that same answer. Just for my people watching on the internet, I just want to make this clear. Accountability that requires somebody else's participation is not accountability. Okay.
A 79th person is facing allegations in connection with the widespread Feeding Our Future fraud scheme, according to a newly unsealed criminal complaint. In court filings, a FBI special agent says Fahima Muhammad is facing 1 count of wire fraud. FBI investigators say Muhammad operated a food site called Future Leaders Early Learning Center. This site was also featured in a viral video.
If you're the 79th person charged in the same scheme, the oversight was not a system that failed. It was a system that was never there. The 79th arrest is not a law enforcement success story here, you guys. It is a receipt to show how far and how strong this ran before anybody stopped it. 79 people. That is ridiculous. The Ethics Committee reconvenes after April's recess to formally recommend a sanction. The options here: seizure, removal from all committee assignments, or expulsion. A rep from Florida publicly committed to pushing for a full expulsion vote here, regardless of what the committee recommends.
What does exist is a mountain of evidence.
A fiery 6-hour hearing went almost to midnight.
And the allegations before us are extremely serious.
The phrase mountain of evidence wasn't just from prosecution. It was from the committee that just spent 7 hours reviewing this particular case. And it includes Democrats on the panel who voted guilty as well. This wasn't a partisan finding here. This woman messed up. She be cheating. Separate from the ethics case entirely, and this is the part that's kind of been underreported, she faces a federal criminal trial on 15 counts: theft of government funds, money laundering, filing false tax returns. If convicted on all counts, the sentencing exposure is up to 53 years, and she would become only the 7th House member ever expelled from Congress.
Cherfilus-McCormick could face more than 50 years in prison and potential expulsion from Congress. Lawmakers hearing the case saying this morning that they will consider her punishment, but no other details were released.
The committee hasn't decided the punishment. The criminal trial hasn't started yet. Jeffries hasn't moved. This story, you guys, has not reached peak conclusion here. This is just simply the climax. We're just foreplaying here. And whoever she represents in Fort Lauderdale is watching their congressman run 2 simultaneously legal cases while the Democrat leadership asks reporters to move on to the next question.
So next, the full House Ethics Committee meets to decide the consequences, and that can be from a formal reprimand or fines, or of course the most serious, expulsion from the House. And that's after April recess. And most certainly before the midterms. Louis.
Yeah, this could have consequential impacts.
Republicans hold a 3-vote majority. 1 expulsion changes the math, which is exactly why Jeffries said hard no before the verdict and next question after the verdict. America, here's the framework that nobody wants to write down directly. The C-19 oversight failures were not an accident. Congress passed trillions in emergency relief, knowing the accountability mechanisms were absolutely weaker than Joe Biden's knees. Speed was the stated priority. Auditing was the fine print, and people figured that out fairly quickly. McCormick got caught because she ran for Congress with stolen money, won by 5 votes, and attracted scrutiny the original overpayment would have never received. She wasn't caught by an audit. She was caught by ambition, which means the real question is, how many similar FEMA overpayments are sitting in accounts where nobody ran for anything? How many C-19 contractors got an extra $5 million, moved on, and are living somewhere in Florida with the Tiffany ring and a Tesla and 0 scrutiny coming their way? Nobody's looking. Nobody's asking. She bought a diamond ring with hurricane victims' money. Her party leader said next question, and the oversight gap that made it all possible is still there, waiting for the next person who figures out that nobody's watching. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.